Good evening. We are undoubtedly in a historic and interesting moment. What is that important historical moment? But we Venezuelans have to make a clear decision. We rescue the national flag. That is the decision, because for 20 years they have been waving it as if it were the national pavilion. The white flag or the green flag of Democratic Action or Social Christian Party. The time has come, gentlemen, to choose flags, because I only know one that is yellow, blue, and red. The time has come for us to think. In a state where there are so many young people, where there are so many children, to think about them. What Venezuelan young people need is understanding, not demagoguery. They need the opportunity to prepare their mind and body through sport. Fortunately, I understand what sport is. Fortunately, I understand what a young man is. Because I am a man of today, I am a man of electronics. I am a man heading into the 21st century. I am not a man with the mentality or language of the 40s, because that is already history and it's already done, and it's up to us now to write the history of the future, starting from today. I want you to know one important thing, my friends accompany me. I am not with bodyguards. And I take care of bodyguards. For one reason, or rather for two good reasons. The first reason is that who are those bodyguards going to protect me from? From some fanatic? From some hired killer? From some madman? Gentlemen, is the hand of God enough for that? And on the other hand, a man who is afraid of his people has no right to ask for their vote. I came to tell you what I think. I believe in only one type of dictatorship, which is the dictatorship of the law. But the law should be the same for everyone. When the law is the same for everyone, the nation marches. When the law is interpreted in its own way by the current government, the nation is horrified. Because a true democracy rests on three fundamental pillars described in the national constitution: the executive power, the legislative power, and the judicial power. Where is the judicial power at this moment? Dominated by the executive power, dominated by the political power. And it doesn't have the necessary stature to guarantee the stability of our republic, because we have to be a rule of law indeed, and not a rule of law only on paper. We must restore the dignity of the judiciary. We have to free the judiciary from the executive power. I want to be president. I want that job. I want the job of the President of the Republic, among other things, to reduce the power of the executive. The executive has too much power over the individual. We must rescue the dignity of the judges of Venezuela. We must rescue our legal security. That when we go to a court, we know that in that court there are no political influences. Unlike political parties, which are wonderful for winning elections and are a nullity to govern. Starting in March, I'm going to start forming the executive train. I have promised that 2 months before the elections. Compatriot, I'm going to present to you for your consideration and everyone's, who are going to be part of the cabinet so that you can see 2 months before. If I know how to surround myself, or if I don't know how to surround myself. Let's see. What to do with the current Venezuelan education? It's a question like you, too broad. Let's distinguish here two concepts. Let's distinguish the concept of education on one hand, and the concept of instruction. On the other hand, education is a way of being and thinking. In the humblest neighborhoods I have stumbled, children, and of course adults who are not instructed but who are very well educated. Because education is a way of being and thinking, it's an attitude of courtesy, it's an attitude of respect. Instruction, on the other hand, is the acquisition of practical application knowledge. There is a confusion between education and instruction. I know very instructed people, very poorly educated. But if we are going to talk about instruction and education, we have to see where we are going to direct the efforts, with what purposes is the instruction and is the education. And then I have to talk to you about long-term national strategy, about specific goals to be achieved in 20 years. I propose a long-term national strategy. I propose as a specific goal to be achieved in 20 years that Venezuela becomes an agricultural power. Because if not, we're going to die of hunger. And I'm not exaggerating. You all know very well the cost of food and the food shortage there is today. Imagine yourselves in 5 years. Not only will all the money from iron and oil not be enough to buy food from other nations, but there won't be any. They won't sell to us because they will need it for themselves. And if we adopt as a national strategy over 20 years to turn Venezuela into an agricultural country, then education and instruction must be oriented towards that end. We are going to direct our efforts towards agriculture. We are going to create in the consciousness of every Venezuelan, be it industrial, be it merchant, be it military, be it fisherman, that Venezuela has to be an agricultural country. We are going to see the countryside, because people go to the countryside for a very simple reason. Because life in the countryside is very hard, we are going to urbanize. And to the extent that we manage to make the countryside a habitable place, who is going to be living on a hill in a city when they can live better in a pleasant place under the blue sky of Venezuela? Here we have something that is called the state companies Cadafe, Cantabé, Sidor, Alcaza, and for you still being state companies. In principle, they are also yours, it is assumed. I want to clarify that situation. I want the workers of Cantabé, the workers of Sidor, the workers of Alcaza, and all other Venezuelans to have access to the shares of these companies. The moment the workers of Cantabé become shareholders of Cantabé, they will never be majority shareholders. The state will always have the majority of the shares, but the law protects minority shareholders. First, they will have representation on the board of directors by their own right, not by political union maneuver, but by their own right as co-owners of the company. Second, by being co-owners of the company. You're going to see a decrease in work absenteeism. You're going to see a decrease in political strikes. You're going to see a decrease in politicking within Cantabé. And the services will improve because the dividends are going to be better. And they are a vested interest. It's no longer about our company when we know it's a sham. Cantabé is the current government. That's the reality. It's not anything of the Venezuelans. They usurp it, and from there they take money for their political campaigns, and they put direct telephone lines for the politicians, who talk to the whole world and they don't charge them. The government owes Cantabay around 600 million bolivars. Why? Because they consider them to be the same thing, and it's a lie. It's a state company. It's not the government. Nor can it be considered the same thing. Lie. At a legal level, they are totally different legal personalities when the SIDOR workers know that they are co-owners of those shares. You're going to see that the presidency of SIDOR and the management of SIDOR are going to be very careful about how they manage the money, because they will be held accountable to their own owners, who are the workers and laborers. This is the democratization of capital and democratic action for taxation. As the Democratic Action Party, I believe it has 1,200,000 members, and I'm sure that out of those 1,200,000, 600,000 are suitable and the other 600,000 are not. They signed the card because if not, they don't eat, they don't get the job. They signed out of obligation because if you don't have the suitable card, you're done. Which is the arrogance of democratic action that we Venezuelans all despise and repudiate.